What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be ranking all 9 of the Freddy Krueger movies. And yes, I mean all 9, which includes the infamous remake that people have a love, mostly hate relationship with, which I think it's underrated, but we'll get to it. We'll get to it. And I'll also be including Freddy versus Jason, which I know is technically a crossover movie, but it's still a Freddy Krueger movie, and Robert Englund is playing Freddy in this movie. So I am going to include it in this ranking. And if I ever do a Friday the 13th ranking, I'm also going to include it in that ranking as well. So it's both a Freddy and Jason movie. So yeah. But nonetheless, I am going to be ranking all 9 of these movies worst to best. And if you have any suggestions on what I should do next, whether it's movie or music related, leave them in the comments below. In last place, we have Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, and this is a very big disappointment. Like, I know Freddy has leaned a bit campier, and that's what makes him, I guess, entertaining to watch. But man, this movie goes way too far into the comedic route, and it doesn't help that a lot of the jokes Freddy says aren't funny. A lot of the puns aren't funny. A lot of the special effects aren't great, and a lot of the characters aren't great. So you have no like interesting characters to fall back on, and this movie just feels so rushed. Like everything goes by so quick that you don't even get time to get to know the shitty characters or to appreciate the shitty effects. But like it, this movie is just too comical for the wrong reasons and a lot fast paced for the wrong reasons. And I just did not like this movie. Fuck this movie. Coming in at number 8, we have A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, and this is the start of the whole Freddy Krueger comedy persona. And when I watched this movie, I remember enjoying it like as a kid because I used to watch this as a kid. But growing up, this is arguably not a good movie. It's it's way too comical. The jokes don't fall through. The effects range from to ugh, and we literally kill off the Dream Warriors from the previous film. One of my favorite. Okay, we'll get to that. But one of my favorite films, and they just kill them all off, and they replace them with much more blander. Minus Alice, they minus Alice, they replace them with much more blander characters, and it's hard to get invested with them when they're not interesting. Again, Alice is okay, but everyone else kind of sucks, and I was so distracted with the recasting of Kristen, who originally was played by Patricia Arquette, and now she's being played by Tuesday Night. And it was really distracting. And I was like, this isn't Kristen, this is a fake. So yeah, it was all over the place. Again, the only thing I can good thing say the only good things I can say about it is that I like Alice and I do like the music. The soundtrack is pretty good. Coming in at number 7, we have A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. And this movie still does have a lot of gimmicky and comedic elements that I don't really like. And yeah, a lot of the characters, again, minus Alice, are not written well or interesting enough to hold their own. And some of the effects can range from okay to but I do like that there's a much more gothic element in this movie, and when the actual intense scenes do happen, like the darker scenes do happen, they're really dark to where I find them interesting. And where the effects in this one can get a little over the top sometimes, there are some really cool unique ways of killing these characters, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. I just wish they were written well to be as interesting as the kills, but I still enjoyed the kills. And again, Alice is a little more better, a little more developed in this movie than she was in the last one. I've always had a crush on Alice from Nightmare on Elm Street, so take that as you will. But yeah, it's still not a good movie, but would rewatch this more than Dream Master. Coming in at number 6, we have Freddy versus Jason, and this is arguably one of the first Freddy Krueger movies I've ever watched. I didn't watch them all in order. I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I remember enjoying it, having a blast, and getting older. I enjoyed a lot of the Freddy versus Jason moments, but there weren't a whole lot of that. And it was mainly focusing on these teenagers throughout most of the movie. And I would have been fine with that if the characters were interesting and didn't have me ask, get to the good stuff, get to the good stuff. I felt like the movie should have been a good stuff movie, but these characters were just so bland and so like one noted that I didn't really get into the story of this movie, and then when the fight scenes happened, I wasn't really like as enthusiastic as I used to because I was like, "Oh, we got to the fight scenes. Why do we have to get through so much boredom to do that though?" And even then, I'm kind of disappointed that Freddy only has one kill in this movie and Jason gets majority of them. They're all cool kills, but I wish they both got the same amount of kills. And no, I'm not including the main character's mom because that's a flashback and that happened off screen on the movie. But yeah, like the kills range from okay to eh. So it's an okay kind of eh, but it's not as enjoyable as I remembered it. Coming in at number 5, we have A Nightmare on Elm Street 2010. And a lot of people do not like this movie. And a lot of people actually go on to say that this is the worst Freddy Krueger movie that they've seen. And this is much more worse than Freddy's Dead The Final Nightmare, which I call bullshit because this movie I feel has been through the ringer a lot. And it's not as bad as people are claiming it is. Like, okay, I'm not a fan of the shot for shot scenes at for like from the original, and I'm not a fan of how slow yet fast some scenes go out. And yeah, I'm not a fan of some of the sound design in this movie. It can get a little grating, but I do like the acting. I do like the kills. I do like the visuals, and I do like I have a soft spot for Jackie Earl Haley as Freddy Krueger. I like that they made this his own thing and not made a complete like over the top like the original with Robert Englund. Robert Englund did well with what he was given, so that's his thing. Jackie Earl Haley is doing his thing, and the fact that they made Freddy Krueger like I know a lot of people weren't a fan of the fact that they made Freddy Krueger a child molester and killer in this movie, which for a while I hated that too, and I one of the reasons why I didn't like this movie. I don't like that he is that, but if you're going to make a Freddy Krueger that's more scarier, more creepier, and more like unsettling, I feel like this is the other route that you should have gone, and it it's a gross, scary tone to Freddy Krueger, making him that way, but it it fits this universe's version of Freddy Krueger, and it adds a whole new creep factor to the story that slowly becomes intriguing the more you learn about it, and it it's been through the ringer a lot, but I feel like this movie though isn't great. I feel like has a handful of good qualities. Coming in at number 4, we have Nightmare on Elm Street 2: Freddy's Revenge, and for a while I thought this movie was just okay, and didn't really think much of it because none of the characters had any importance throughout the entire series after this movie, and it just kind of felt more like a simple Freddy Krueger movie, subplot movie. It does have hints of that, but rewatching it, I found this one to be the most creative and interesting out of the ones. I do like I do like the idea of Freddy taking over a new Elm Street kid that isn't originally an Elm Street kid. Like it's a cool idea, and it it makes a whole new dynamic to Freddy Krueger as a manipulator and as a psychotic madman. And I like the actor who plays Jesse, the kid who gets taken over by Freddy. He does a really good job conveying the fear, the trauma inducing look that he gives, and the dialogue he's given. He does it really good, even though some of it shouldn't work. He makes it work, and I like the character. I like the character. I like the character Lisa, the love interest to Jesse. She's really interesting. I like her. She's nice, and I like subtle, the subtle scares in this movie. The parrot going crazy, the lamp melting, the attack on the gym teacher, everything like that. I like how all of that plays into the film's plot, and it makes Jesse go more insane and more insaner until he is fully taken over by Freddy. So I felt this movie was actually more interesting than people give it credit for. And now we finally made it to my top three. And coming in at number three is the original Nightmare on Elm Street movie. And this is just a really cool concept of an idea. And I love that. I love how it plays out simply but effectively. And it gives us a look into our characters settling in on the idea that this is actually possible, and that the deaths in here are gruesome but again very simple. And I love that Freddy Krueger isn't shown as much other than some like side shots, and he's giving his like his creepy little laugh, his creepy little like play arounds when he's trying to like play with his victims. And I love the subtle hint of like graininess, like the 80s graininess of this movie. It's not like over the top silly, it's just a perfect amount of 80s graininess, and it works well. It's a simple but effective movie. Coming in at number two, we have Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and this movie is a whole unique spin on the Nightmare franchise, and I love that this movie is the template of what Scream would eventually become, also directed by Wes Craven. Uh, this movie takes a whole unique creative spin of bringing Freddy Krueger into the real world, but not the same Freddy that's been in the countless continual stories, but a whole new evil, cryptic, and much more darker Freddy. A Freddy we hardly even see throughout the movie, which I'm always a fan of. I love hardly getting to see this Freddy in this movie because there's so much suspense, so much build up to him, and when it's finally revealed, it's creepy as hell. And there's just so much like tension between Freddy and Heather, who's Nancy in the other movies, but is playing herself in this movie, who does a really good job conveying emotion and intensity, and her acting chops are on freaking point. I'm so ashamed that she has not done anything else when it came to movies or serious stuff after that. But like, she does a really good job, and the fact that they get all these other actors and celebrities that are real and like playing themselves in here is pretty cool. I love that they get actual Robert Englund playing himself, and he's being haunted by Freddy as well, which is ironic but in a cool way. And I love that the kid is basically a vessel for Freddy's play on the victims, and it's really cool. And it's really cool that they got the kid who played Gage in the Pet Cemetery movies, or movie. And I really like this movie. It's amazing. It's unique. It's dark. It's creative, and it's intense. I love it. But coming in at number one is A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. And man, this movie has so much atmosphere. It's got great characters, and they're fully developed in one movie. I also love that this Freddy can be both comical, but at the same time can be really menacing with his kills. I love the mental the mental facility aspect. I love that it shows that the adults think that the adults perspective that the kids are harming themselves and are trying really hard to stay awake because they're worried about harming themselves. And it's a really, really, really heavy but very, very intriguing movie. And we get Nancy Thompson back, played by Heather Langenkamp, and she's really good as like this mentor to these new kids that are being haunted by Freddy. And I love Patricia Arquette as Kristen, and the fact that this was her first movie was really surprising because she does really good. She acts like a legit seasoned actor in this, and I love the again, I love the effects and I love the kills. I love the music. I love the fact that that the main doctor is being visited by a nun who was revealed to be Freddy Krueger's mom, and it's a really cool mix of like intensity, intense emotional storytelling, and I really like where this movie went. And it's more grounded, it's more simple, but at the same time there's a bit of charm to it. I wouldn't really use that word for this type of movies, but there's a lot of charm to where to how pacely this movie goes. And I love this movie then, I love it now, and it's arguably my favorite Freddy Krueger movie of all time. Well, thank you guys so much for watching my video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and if you have any other suggestions on what I should do next, whether it's movie or music related, leave them in the comments below. And again, if you have your own list of Freddy Krueger movies and how you rank them, leave them in the comments below. And remember, these are just my opinions. I'm not saying my opinion matters more than yours. I'm just saying that these are the movies that I ranked worst to best. So again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please like and subscribe. Enjoy, you guys, and I'll see you later.